Love, dating, and relationships on steroids. Welcome to the Lover List, where Reddit's juiciest love stories are served fresh daily. Hit that like button, drop a comment, subscribe and turn on notifications before love passes you by. My 29 female boyfriend, 28 male, told me he cheated in a previous relationship and I don't know how to proceed. I was cheated on horribly in the past by my most serious relationship and I'm still deeply affected by the trauma. My BF knows this and I know that's why he chose to tell me, but honestly I'm gutted. I haven't been able to respond yet, but we're getting more serious and I feel like we're at a crossroads. He's been amazing to me and never gave me a reason to doubt him, but I believed my ex right up until the end, too, so I feel ill-equipped to judge character. However, a major difference is that my ex had to get caught and, according to my BF, he told the girl he was seeing what was up. And he told me when I didn't ask him to, but he knows how scared I am. I don't believe strictly in once a cheater, always a cheater, but I don't know what I'm expected to do with this information. I think calling off the relationship is an overreaction, but I do feel like I have to honor the red flag and not proceed like nothing ever happened. What's the in-between? If you found out your partner had a past with cheating, how did you handle it? TLDR, my BF is being transparent about cheating in past relationships when he knows I have deep-seated trauma around being cheated on. He's been very good to me, but I'm still very troubled and don't know how to proceed. Before I finished reading your post, I was going to ask, has he taken responsibility for his actions or is he brushing it off? So to read that he 1, came clean to the girl he cheated on and 2, told you straight up is IMO a good thing. Taking responsibility for the pain you've caused others is the hardest thing to do and also the most important. If I were you, I would ask him, why did you do it? Why did you decide to come clean? And why did you tell me? If his answers show that he has given it thought, that he has confronted his own faults, then I think you're in a much better place than if he just says it. Ultimately, if you can't live with it, you can't live with it. But I do think that telling you straight up is a sign that he thinks you deserve honesty. Imagine if he never said anything and you found out by accident. Would that feel worse? It's also okay to tell him that you're struggling with this info and that you need some time to process it. If he's a good dude, he'll get that. These are all excellent points, especially asking why he wanted me to know. Allowing me to have time to process is huge for me, so I'll weigh that for sure. I am so used to being pressured into making decisions that bypass my time to process and guilt/bully me into doing what the other person wanted in the first place without having time to think or decide for myself. But I haven't run into a lot of chances with this relationship to need to ask for a breather and see the response. He's usually more compassionate towards my needs than I am, so I'm really curious about that. Part of me wonders if he's expecting me to need some time after this, but honestly I think that'll be the most telling part for me. I was married for 17 years to someone who was very traumatized by his first wife cheating to the point where they had to do DNA test on his kid. He was extremely adamant about fidelity. He was faithful for 16 years and then fell for someone else. My point is, you can never truly know the future, but you also can't live life in fear of what may or may not happen. He told you, and that shows you have good communication. Follow your gut, and if it feels right, don't assume he will do it or alter your life over what ifs. I don't regret my marriage. We had a lot of really happy years of my life. If you have more questions, ask him, but this is a whole different relationship. I would not assume he would do it again. Part of being 18 to 25 is f***ing up romantic relationships and, hopefully, learning from it. There's no good reason to cheat, but there are a lot of conditions that make it shockingly easy to cheat: communication issues in a relationship where needs aren't being met, alcohol issues, naivety about what an emotional affair feels like versus a normal friendship. If the other person appears to have good self-awareness, communication, compassion, and honesty, I would rather be with someone who is transparent about the ways that they've f***ed up past relationships and learned from it than someone who hasn't. Plenty of people who love their partners and would never want to hurt them are genuinely surprised and confused when their affair just kind of happens because they simply didn't have the self-insight or relationship skills to avoid it. They thought they were a great partner, when really they ran their relationship on autopilot, trusting that good intentions and a history of not cheating meant they were immune to temptation. So if this guy learned something from it, I wouldn't write him off. It's definitely good information to have, but personally I want a partner who feels I deserve to have all of the information in front of me when making a decision about our relationship, so I'd value his honesty and keep trying to work through my trust issues. Is he able to articulate why he cheated in the past, and does he recognize what he should have done differently? In my experience, cheating comes from either lack of self-control, low empathy, or inability to communicate, or a fun combo of those. If he went to therapy to address the issues that made him cheat in the first place, and is able to explain how he's grown and why he never could hurt someone like that again, genuinely, I would trust him. But, as someone who was also cheated on, if he didn't do that, then I wouldn't be able to trust that he's grown from it. Be very careful to make sure he's an empathetic person. Narcissists are everywhere. My current partner also cheated on his previous partner, and I felt disgusted initially as he explained the reality of his life, actions, emotional state, and so forth. As I prepared to end it, when he finished speaking, he shocked me by acknowledging his wrongdoing, taking 100% responsibility, and saying, "I looked at my daughter, she was 4 at the time, and realized I was the worst example of a partner. She would likely find an asshole that cheats on her. I don't think I would ever forgive myself if my example was so disgusting that my daughter lived with a perpetually broken heart." Not once did he excuse his actions. He explained them but never excused them. He never shifted the blame, and it was clear to me that he wanted to be a better partner, father, and man. I don't regret giving him a chance now, and I hope I never do. I sincerely believe that if someone takes genuine responsibility for their actions, it's more likely than not that they intend to overcome and not repeat those negative actions. If you believe he accepted responsibility genuinely, then perhaps it's worth continuing. People have to really acknowledge their abusive behavior is abusive in order to fix it from within. I do believe people can change. Anyone can do a 180, and sometimes it's these small epiphanies that make it happen. I was cheated on by my husband, and I had to find out the hard way, but it changed everything between us, and I also figured out our relationship had been in trouble long before he cheated. I had a hard time recovering from it. It took me 5 years to forgive him, but I will never forget what he did, and I would never do that to someone. It broke my heart, and it took both of us giving 150% to make our marriage work. So I give him props for telling you on his own, and it shows maturity that most men don't have. I would talk to him about how you feel and see where it goes. Maybe because he broke her heart, he would never do it again. I hope it works out for you guys. I have a history of cheating, physically and emotionally, with almost every single relationship I've ever been in. I am not proud of this. However, I'm determined not to ever cheat again. I know why I cheated, and have done extensive work on myself so it doesn't happen again. I have rules set in place for myself to protect my relationship. I don't want to fall into the once a cheater, always a cheater. My boyfriend knows that I have a horrible history of cheating. I have no idea how he trusts me, but he does, and I'm so grateful for that. Trusting someone with a history is hard, and I'm so sorry for all you've been through. I think maybe finding out why he cheated, how it happened, and if he knows how to prevent it from happening with you guys might be helpful. Putting ground rules in place to protect your relationship might be good too. Wishing you a happy and healthy future. Honestly, him being open and honest about this is a green flag. You should of course ask why he did it, and if he has learned from it, but it's definitely not on its own a red flag to me. I cheated in a previous relationship, in my 20s. It was a very volatile relationship, and I felt very neglected, not excusing it, just giving context. I have taken responsibility for that, and I'm now even friends with the guy I cheated on. I've done a lot of work on myself, and now the thought of ever doing that again horrifies me and makes my skin crawl. I could never do that to my partner. People make stupid and terrible mistakes, especially when they're young. If it was a one-off, then I don't think it'd be as big a deal as someone that has cheated consistently in all their relationships. I suggest finding out more about what the circumstances were and how he has taken accountability for it and done work on himself so he doesn't repeat the same thing. I'll preface my advice with a relevant personal story to add perspective. I cheated once, almost 20 years ago, now. Ironically, what I learned from the experience was that I was not cut out for it, and I never did it again. The guilt ate at me until I confessed. I also learned from confessing there was no right way to navigate the situation. Confessing unburdened me but hurt my soul. If I'd not confessed and just ended the relationship, that would have hurt her more, especially if I used some pretense or just stonewalled. It'd eat at her, because up until then we were basically happy. If I resolved to just endure the guilt, keep quiet, and remain loyal from then on, I'm sure she'd sense that something was wrong with me. I don't think I could have been a good partner if I had such a secret undermining every happy moment we shared. She asked me to stay, but I could never offer a good reason for why I did it, so we never rebuilt our trust. Moving forward, I told every so after that what I'd done in the past. I told them what I learned about myself and what cheating can do. Many of the women I dated confessed something similar. Some of them cheated on me. Some, including my now wife of 11 years, were 100% loyal. I attribute much of the fidelity in my later relationships to the fact that both of us had experienced being on both sides of infidelity and understood that the consequences weren't worth some sex. To me, it sounds like your so is doing everything correctly. He's upfront, open, and he's giving you space. Cheating once doesn't mean they'll cheat again, as I've described. It can also mean that they understand better than anyone that it's not something they're capable of. It's entirely up to you to decide whether you're ready to trust again, but it sounds like you want to, and he sounds like a good candidate. You'll also have to ask yourself whether you're in a place yet where you can be a good partner and that you're strong enough to have faith in somebody again. You may decide to give it a shot, but it'll turn out your past is the one causing issues, and not his, if that makes sense. Last thing, as you get older, you realize that nobody is going to have an unblemished history, and it's often better to find someone who has experienced a lot and has learned the right lessons, over somebody who doesn't know themselves as well. You also learn that there's more to relationships than fidelity, and even surprise yourself with what you grow to accept. My wife and I would have never gotten married if we weren't 100% on the same page about everything. We're going to be together our entire lives, and we'll watch each other grow and change and ultimately even die. Of course, we discussed the potential for infidelity, and we were both surprised to find that, while it had hurt and would take time and effort to recover from, it was no longer something that would necessarily break us. It's a wild thing to discover the worst boogeyman in a relationship no longer had much power over us. I hope you find yourself in the same place one day. Good luck. It's a difficult spot to be in for sure. At a minimum, I think another conversation with him is in order to try to find out why he chose to share this information at this particular time in the relationship. You're right. Cheaters can change. However, it's only when they want to. Maybe he's reached a point in the relationship where he's had some sort of realization that is driving him to change. Then again, maybe there is someone new that has entered his life at work that he fears could impact you too. That's why I suggest talking about why he chose to reveal his past. As for how to proceed, I think it will all depend on the conversation. If he's come to the realization that the relationship is more important and he wants to change, then it's good news. If it's someone new, well, then maybe breaking things off isn't so bad after all. This would also give you a chance to let him know that his revelation may not have been received quite the way he intended. Ultimately, if my 33-plus-year relationship with my wife, married 27 years, is any indication, communication is one of the key factors in longevity. At some level, be thankful that he's being honest about his past, but use this as an opening to try to broaden the things you two talk about so that aspects of the relationship are included as well. Neither of you are mind readers, and unless you talk about it, you'll never truly know what's in your partner's head. Glad you could join us for another episode of Relationship Stories that'll make you feel all the feels. If these tales moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Turning on notifications will ensure you never miss a beat of these heartwarming stories.